Hi everybody, welcome to lesson 5 of Coffee Culture Around the World from Sagebrush Coffee. Last lesson we talked about European coffee culture, and today we're going to be moving on to talk about the rich coffee culture of Africa. In our first lesson, I briefly mentioned that there's a debate as to whether coffee originated from Yemen or Ethiopia. Essentially, there's evidence to support both sides of the story and no definitive answer. For the Yemen origin story, they claim that a Sufi monk drank quote-unquote wine that had been made from a plant exported from Ethiopia. He claimed that this drink gave him an intoxication that was sent from the gods to help him and other monks stay awake and alert for evening prayer and nighttime vigils. On the other hand, the Ethiopia origin story claims that an Ethiopian goat herder named Kaldi noticed his goats were eating fruits off of a certain plant, coffee plants, and that they would eat these fruits and become extremely energetic and refuse to go to sleep that night. So, whether the first people to drink coffee were from Yemen or Ethiopia, most people can agree that the plant itself was first discovered in the forests of Ethiopia. Even before coffee was discovered to be drinkable, Ethiopian Oromo warriors were believed to eat balls of ripe berries packed with animal fats as rations on the battlefield as far back as the 10th century. Today, Ethiopians continue to practice the Ethiopia coffee ceremony, an ancient ceremony whose beginnings are unknown. A household may participate in this coffee ceremony as many as 3 times a day. The ceremony offers an opportunity for Ethiopians to be hospitable and welcoming to family, neighbors, and friends. During the ceremony, the host, typically a woman, prepares the coffee. Having this role is seen as a high honor. They prepare by placing leaves and flowers where the coffee will be brewed and then washing the beans by hand. The host then roasts the beans in a pan over an open fire until they're ready to be ground finely with a wooden mortar and pestle. The coffee grounds are then placed in a jabena pot with water and brought to boil over the fire. The host will taste test the coffee until it's perfect and then serve it to their guests. Throughout the ceremony, incense is often burned to add to the aromatic experience of roasting coffee. It's also common for popcorn to be served alongside the drink. There's a common saying among Ethiopians that says, "Coffee is our bread," which shows just how ingrained coffee is in the Ethiopian culture. But they aren't the only coffee-loving country in Africa. There are 7 countries on the continent that produce coffee and many more who enjoy drinking it. Another African country that not only produces coffee but whose history is covered in it is Tanzania. Records suggest that coffee was introduced to Tanzania sometime before the 16th century. There's no strong proof, but it probably came directly from Ethiopia because of their close geographical locations. In coffee's early beginnings in the region, it was not used to drink, but to chew, similar to the Ethiopian Oromo warriors. It was also considered so valuable that sometimes it would be used as currency. Much later, in the 1800s, Germany took over East Africa, including the land that was called Tanganyika, which would later become Tanzania. The land switched from German to English rule between 1919 and 1920. Under the European rule from both countries, the idea that coffee should be produced and traded was introduced. Farmers from Tanganyika were made to produce coffee to benefit Germany and England during the respective time periods. In 1961, Tanganyika finally declared its independence from England and officially became the country of Tanzania. In the decades following Tanzania's independence, the coffee industry struggled greatly. However, it began to stabilize in the 1990s and has been becoming stronger ever since. Today in Tanzania, coffee is often served spiced and enjoyed alongside sweets. Many people associate pea berry coffee with the country because although this mutation can occur anywhere, it has been known to occur a significant amount in Tanzania's high elevation regions near Mount Kilimanjaro. The mutation occurs naturally and makes for a bright, delicious cup of coffee. Coffee production continued to spread throughout African countries, including Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Malawi, Uganda, and Zambia during the 18th and 19th centuries. Coffee as a crop was essential to these countries, but the journey to produce it and export it was not always easy. One of the most recent contenders in the African coffee industry is Kenya. Kenyan coffee origins are tied to the country's British colonization period between 1901 and the early 1960s. During the years of British colonization, coffee was produced in Kenya and brought to England to be sold exclusively in London coffee shops. Once Kenya gained its independence and its coffee production fell back into the hands of native people, it created a unique coffee grading system that categorizes coffee beans by their size and quality. They also established the Coffee Research Foundation, or CRF, which has spent a significant amount of time and resources studying both the scientific and business aspects of the Kenyan coffee industry. The innovation that Kenya has shown in recent years has been inspirational for other coffee producing countries around the world. Other countries are already beginning to adopt the Kenyan grading system and the idea of a scientific exploration of coffee. Whether it's the economic importance of coffee production or the cultural importance of an ancient coffee ceremony, Africa has a rich coffee culture that has continued to develop over the last few centuries. Next lesson, we're going to head east and explore how coffee culture has impacted the continent of Asia. Make sure to stay tuned for that lesson and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Until then, I'm Kourtney and I'll see you next time.